What's going on, all my beautiful people? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's your boy, Stats Aren't Silly, and we're back with another bang, 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 banger of a video. Today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys 7 things you should never do with your EDC, Everyday Carry Pistol. That is today's topic. Jumping right into it, man. The absolute number one thing that you should not do with your everyday carry pistol is do a video with it loaded. Make sure you unload your weapons, man. Safety first, man. That's the first thing you gotta do, man. Make sure all your weapons that you're gonna be handling in any videos you're doing is empty, so that you can see these are all everyday carry pistols. So I keep them loaded. Go ahead and put the magazines off to the side. Go ahead. Make sure we good. And now we can continue. Alright, the number one thing that you should never do with your everyday carry pistol is carry it without a quality custom fitted holster, man. Always, for the love of all things gunpowder and holy that goes boom, make sure when you're carrying your weapons, you're carrying it in a quality holster, man. A quality Kydex holster is what I recommend. I don't recommend anything else. So that's the number one thing, man. If you're carrying your EDC, your everyday carry gun with you on a daily basis, make sure it's in a quality holster that's gonna secure the pistol in there. If you flip it upside down, it's not gonna fall out. Make sure that when you put your holster in the holster, you have a little click, a little secure click, like, you hear that? Take it out. You hear that? You hear that little secure click? That means that this is in there. It's not going anywhere unless I pull it out. Alright, so make sure that you have a quality holster, man. Kydex holster is what I prefer. If you want to use plastic and any other type of material out there, then that's on you, but I recommend Kydex holster. Make sure that your holster is not going to be able to bend and fold easy. This one is one of my Tunetanks. This isn't the flex. This is the stiff one. I forgot what it's called. The one that doesn't move. But you can get the flex one as long as the part holding the actual pistol isn't moving around. As long as it's stiff and it's firm, you're gonna be good. Another thing you want to look for in a quality holster is to make sure that when you put that pistol in there, that the trigger is covered and there's nothing that can get in there to accidentally pull that trigger, accidentally discharge, accidentally cheddar bob yourself. The number 2 thing that you don't want to do when you're carrying your EDC pistol, you don't want to be bragging and boasting and telling everybody you're carrying a pistol concealed. That defeats the purpose of carrying a weapon concealed. Why would you tell everybody if you're trying to conceal your weapon and you're gonna brag about it and tell everybody, hey, look at me, I'm carrying a gun? Don't brag about carrying your gun, man. If you're carrying a gun and it's concealed, keep your mouth shut. Nobody needs to know that. If you're ever in a real life situation and somebody starts shooting a grocery store or a mall, wherever you're at, you're gonna be the first person to shoot because they know you got a gun. So don't brag about your pistol, man. If you're carrying a pistol concealed, keep it concealed and keep your mouth shut. Rule number 2. The number 3 thing that you don't want to do when you're carrying a concealed pistol or a weapon in general, you don't want to go starting drama. You don't want to go starting stuff. Don't go looking for trouble if you're legally carrying a gun concealed. Don't go looking for trouble because you're gonna go to jail if you use said gun in said altercation. So don't go starting stuff. Don't go starting drama. Don't go starting fights. Don't go getting into it with people, because if you use that gun, it's gonna go against you, man. It's gonna be used against you in court. So don't do it, man. When you're carrying a gun, you need to be the most humblest, the most Buddha. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be like a monk when you're carrying a pistol, man. You gotta stay humble, mind your business, you know what I'm saying? Pay attention to your surroundings, but don't go starting drama when you're carrying a gun. The number 3 thing not to do when you're carrying a pistol is don't go looking for trouble. Don't go starting stuff. The number 4 thing not to do when you're carrying a pistol, when you're everyday carrying a pistol, the number 4 thing not to do is sound silly. It sounds mad silly. It sounds hella silly. You will be surprised how many people do this. Number 4, if you got a concealed carry weapon and a concealed carry permit, don't have your concealed carry permit and you leave your concealed carry weapon at home. Don't have your permit on you, but you leave your gun at home. If you're everyday carrying a pistol, you can't be everyday carrying a pistol if the pistol is at home, but you got your permit though. Hey, I got my permit though. I can't defend myself, but I got my permit though while your pistol is at the house. Don't do that, man. If you're gonna be everyday carrying, it has to be carried every day, everywhere you go. If not, it's not an everyday carry pistol. Do you feel me? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Let's go on to the next one. The number 5 thing not to do when you're everyday carrying your pistol: don't not train under stressful conditions. Don't not train in awkward positions. What do I mean by that? When you go to the range, don't just stand there all in the perfect position. You got your perfect stance. You know, your feet are about shoulder width apart. Your chin is up. You know, you draw your weapon. You pull your gun out. Boom, you're on target. You got the perfect stance. Boom, boom, boom. Every time you go to the range, you just have your perfect stance. You're standing there. You're looking all pretty. You know, shoulder width apart. You know what I'm saying? You're leaning a little bit forward. Your chin is up. You bring the gun up to your eyes. You don't take your eyes down to the gun. You bring the gun up to your eyes. You got a perfect stance. And boom, boom, boom. You're nailing targets. Bullseye. Because you're just training in a perfect stance. Every time you go to the range, you just stand there looking pretty in your perfect stance, in your perfect boots, with your perfect form and your perfect draw, your perfect grip, and your perfect sight picture. Boom. And you're just a bird's eye. Don't just train in perfect stances. If you're gonna go to the range and you're gonna be training to carry a gun, you have to train in awkward positions and you have to train in a little bit of stressful situations. Put yourself under a little bit of stress. So when you go to the range, don't just stand there looking pretty, knocking targets down, looking cute. Don't do that. Yes, do that, but do more. Don't just do that. Don't not train under stress. Don't not train under awkward positions. So what I mean under stress, all you gotta do is start jogging. If you wanna stress yourself out on the range, do about 20 burpees and run around in circles, you know what I'm saying? Run back and forth, 15 feet that way, run 15 feet that way, run 15, do that about 5 times. Then draw your weapon and shoot. That's putting your body under stress. You're raising your heart rate. You're not gonna be perfect. You're gonna be sucking wind. You're gonna be huffing and puffing. Your breathing is gonna be all crazy and uncontrollable. And when you're taking aim, your dot's gonna be going up and down. This is all you're gonna see because you're sucking, you're catching breath. Train like that. You have to train like that, because if you don't train like that in a real world situation, you're not gonna be standing there looking all pretty. You're gonna be sucking. Your heart rate's gonna be pumping. Adrenaline's gonna be pumping. You might even be shaking. So you want to train under stress. Also, don't just train in the perfect positions. When you're training on the range, you want to sit down, take a chair with you, take a field chair, take a folding chair with you, sit down on the range, practice drawing your weapon and shooting targets, multiple targets from a sitting position, because in a real world situation, you might have to defend yourself sitting down. So practice shooting sitting down. Practice kneeling down behind cover. Practice shooting from cover. Practice shooting from behind a barricade. Practice shooting in awkward positions that you might find yourself in a real life situation. Practice drawing your weapon and shooting your weapon with one hand. You most likely in real life will have to draw your weapon and shoot with one hand. You might be fighting somebody off. Your left hand might be pushing somebody off with a knife, trying to keep them off you. Your right hand or left hand or whatever hand you are, draw your weapon and you have to shoot. Practice shooting in stressful and awkward positions. Number 5. Well, let's go on to number 6. The number 6 thing not to do when you're carrying an EDC, everyday carry pistol, is don't use cheap belts. One more time. Don't use cheap belts. Invest in nice concealed carry belts. It's gonna make life so much easier. It's gonna be so much more comfortable carrying with an actual concealed carry belt instead of a regular Wrangler old leather hide belt that's you put your gun in and your gun is leaning forward and it's sagging. You got your gun in your holster and it's just leaning forward like this, printing all crazy because you're wearing some cheap Levi's rawhide leather belt. Don't do that, man. Invest in good belts. If you're gonna be concealed carrying, invest in a nice decent concealed carry belt. Invest in a proper belt for concealed carry, a concealed carry belt. Don't use cheap belts when you're concealed carrying. Your gun can fall out, the holster, you're gonna be printing, it's gonna be uncomfortable, it's gonna be, just trust me. invest in a nice concealed carry belt. But at the number 7 thing that you should not do while you're carrying a concealed carry weapon, it doesn't matter if you're concealed carrying or open carrying. I think even more if you're open carrying, because you can see you're carrying a gun. The number 7 thing you don't want to do, carrying your everyday carry weapon, don't not carry with a round in the chamber. This is a very touchy, sensitive, controversial topic that a lot of people are not comfortable doing, especially when you first start carrying a gun. A lot of people are not comfortable carrying one in the chamber, especially if you carry the way I do, appendix style. You know, when you put the gun in there, when you put the gun in a holster, it's kind of pointing at your junk. It's kind of pointing at the family jewels, man. You know, when you appendix carry in your waistline, it's pointing at the boys. You know what I'm saying? It's pointing at your member. You guys been together since birth. The last thing you want to do is shoot your member off. A lot of people is afraid to carry with a round in the chamber. They're afraid they're going to accidentally shoot. And my answer to that is, if you train and you practice proper gun safety, keeping your finger off the trigger, have a good holster, have a good belt, keep your finger off that trigger until you're ready to press that trigger, you should be good. You're not going to shoot yourself. When people shoot themselves when carrying guns, it's usually on the reholster, not in the draw. It's on the reholster. Most people shoot themselves when they're doing this than when they're doing this. When you're doing this is when you're most likely to shoot yourself. And the reason why people shoot themselves when they're reholstering is because they have a crappy holster. They got a holster that the little flap is moving in here. They have a holster, a material holster, where there's material sticking out, piece of wire or something sticking on the inside that they don't catch it. They put the gun in there, the wire then goes into the trigger, they push the trigger down and they shoot themselves. You know, or they have some type of material cloth type holster and it's flapping, and when you put it in there, the flap goes into the trigger and you don't know, you push it down, you shoot yourself. That's why the number 1 rule is to carry with a decent quality fitted holster. That's gonna avoid a lot of the chances of you shooting yourself if you have a quality holster and these corners isn't moving. As long as these corners ain't flapping around and moving, as long as there's no wires or cloth material in here that could potentially stick out and pull that trigger when you put it in there, you're not gonna have to worry about carrying it around in the chamber. Every time I reholster, I make sure I take my time, especially, you know, when I load it up, boom, boom, I'm ready to go. I make sure my finger's always off the trigger. I make sure that I'm looking down into my holster every time I reholster. Let me bring it up so you can see it in the camera. Every time I reholster, I make sure I look down and I lean forward just a little bit, because when you're wearing a holster, it's appendix carry. I'm talking about appendix carry. If you're carrying on the side, it's the same thing. You still want to be careful. You still want to look, but you know the chances are a lot less. But appendix carry, man, when you're appendix carrying, every time I reholster, I make sure I'm looking down to make sure that there's absolutely nothing in the holster. I kind of do a little lean forward, so that way when I'm holstering the weapon, it's not actually pointing at my junk. It's pointing away, like towards my feet, you know, kind of away from my feet. It's pointed at an angle. It's not pointed into me. It's not pointed into me like this when I reholster. When I'm about to reholster, it's pointing straight down to my boys right there, right? So what I do, I just lean forward a little bit and then I put it in and it's away. So if for some reason that trigger gets pulled, leaning forward, it's gonna go hopefully in between my feet and miss my feet completely. But at the end of the day, I would rather get shot in the feet than get shot in the boys. I would rather not get shot at all, but if I had to choose one, I would rather get shot in the feet. Hey, the feet's the feet. The boys, the boys. It ain't no replacing the boys. You know what I'm saying? You pick it up and put it down. So don't be afraid to carry it around in the chamber, man, because in real life, real world events where people have to draw the weapons to defend themselves, they literally had no time to pull the weapon out and do this. By the time to do that, it was over. They already got shot or somebody was already on them stabbing them. So a lot of the time to draw the weapon is literally pull and shoot. Get that mindset out of your head that you're gonna have time to draw your weapon, boom, shoot. You might have chance. I mean, hell, 90% of the times you might be able to draw your weapon, rack it and ready to go. You know, you draw your weapon, boom, you're ready to go. You draw, you know, a lot of people have a technique where they draw the weapon and they rack the slide right away. You might have time 90% of the time, maybe. What about that 10%? Let's make it even better. You might have time to draw your weapon and rack that slide 99% of the times. 99% of the time you might have time. But what about that 1%? What about that one time that you're not going to have time? So that could be the matter of life or death. If you ask me, carry one in the chamber, because you just might fall into that 1% who's not going to have time to rack that round. So anyways, man, that's it for today. Like I said, I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter. Any more questions about what I talked about today, you want to go into more detail, message me down in the comments. I'll go ahead and comment as soon as I can. I'll respond to each and every comment that I get in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video, man. We're doing numbers, you know what I'm saying? We're finally monetized. I'm happy about that. The channel is finally gonna start paying for itself. You know what I'm saying? It's about time this channel got a job. So we got monetized, so we getting lit. We're gonna bring you bangers now. We're gonna bring you bangers. We're gonna keep bringing you bangers. But until next time, man, be greater than you were yesterday. Always be prepared so you don't have to get prepared. See you guys in the next video. Peace.